Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and you guys asked for this. Well, kind of. Not exactly this, but similar model. So here we go. Let's get into it. What we've got in the cute little baggie is a Mick Strider Performance Series Semi-Custom. I'm not sure exactly how these are supposed to be listed. Limited edition, I know. And I don't know exactly which number limited edition this one was, but it is an SNG Fatty. And I know you guys were expecting the other SNG, the standard G10 model. Well, that one ended up a big mess of trading around, and I ended up with this. What's the difference? Well, this one, let's just go through it like we would any other knife. One, we have hard anodized aluminum for our show side scale. Very nicely done. Very Strider, no doubt about it. Everything is Strider here. Everything got the little jumping across the back, the jumping across here. We flip around the other side and we have the heat flamed backside or lock side. We've got our lock bar stabilizer, all standard Strider hardware, and just a darn good looking knife. One big difference than most SNGs that have 167 blade stock, I believe it is, this is 190 blade stock. So this is a fatty, big fat blade stock. Now, getting some measurements out of the way, we are at 4.64 in total length. Handle thickness of a very nice 0.5, especially with that big thick blade stock in there. And a blade stock thickness of 190, like we talked about. That's 4.84 millimeters, guys. Thick blade stock. And a closed height of 1.52, so kind of tall like all the Striders. And a weight of 5.13 ounces for a 3.5 inch blade knife. Slightly over 3.5 inch blade. So let's get this guy out and get kind of a look at it overall before we go to putting the other knives out on the table. That backside of that thing is just beautiful. We do have a 20 CV, that CTS 20 CV blade. I don't know if we can read that or not, but it's right there. And this is marked Mick Strider, not Strider knives. We do have some real nice thumb studs, but they're not really thumb studs. They are your blade stops. If you look on a normal Strider, they just have the standard squared off ones. And that is really nice. I hope that Strider moves forward in the future if they start producing more knives with sticking with this type of blade stop, because that is just very nice. And let's get some stuff out of the way here. And first up, let's do a comparison with the SMF, because the SMF is one you don't hear about near as often, but it's the one that I prefer to carry. And yes, it's also 190 blade stock. Mine is actually slightly thinner than 190, but it's like 188.5 or something. But it's not that much bigger than the SNG. However, it is bigger than the SNG. By whenever you put them both in your hands, you get it starts to make sense. This is a 3.9 inch blade. This is basically a 3.5 inch blade. And so the SMF is considerably bigger. We'll lay them out here like this. That way you can get another look at how they compare. Now let's get to our standards, because not everybody, probably not a lot of people have seen an SMF. It's not a knife you see everywhere. So there's our Buck 110, our Rat Model 1, and where did our Mantra go, our stand-in for our Delica? There it is. It's a 3.5 inch knife, guys. It's not anything weird or odd or any of these crazy things until we get to ergonomics in the blade. But first, let's talk about the mechanical bits of the knife. Mechanically, you have a rather fancy pivot in here. It's got a really big spool, and I did not measure it, but if I remember right, they're 13 millimeter half inch approximately. And that big spool is, it just helps make for some very smooth knives. There's other things that go into that. We are running on phosphor bronze down in there, and you know, you can see this is a new knife. I have not used it much, but it has just got that hydraulic smooth that's, you know, rather unreal in a knife on phosphor bronze bushings. Now it does have a big heavy blade, that helps, but really nice. Now we do have two things to be aware of in a Strider knife. One, these are your open blade stops. They literally go up against the titanium and against the aluminum. In this case, G10 in some cases, titanium in others. And then something that I don't know, we're not going to be able to see it very well in this. Let me grab a flashlight and see if I can shed some light on the subject. Probably not, and I'm probably going to have problems. There we go, there's a flashlight. Oh wow, maybe we can see down in there. See that little bump there at the front? Down in here? That is your closed blade stop. Lays right here, so whenever you go to close the knife, that little bump down in there goes up in the sharpening choil, and that is your stop. Pretty ingenious method. It seems to have worked out extremely well for Strider, even on the G10 knives. So, you know, people will say it's not tough enough, blah, 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 blah. Well, lots of these knives out there, and very few, if any, complaints anywhere about it. It must work pretty dadgum good. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. So now let's get a look at this blade. We are a big old piece of CTS 20CV. This is a hand ground model, hollow ground. Don't know how many of these there were. Not very many, I don't think. It was in the limited edition group that went to PVK Vegas here in the past, I don't know, a couple of months. It's got that stone wash that is just beautiful up here. It's kind of a polished stone wash. And same thing on the back side. And then we were looking at the blade, weren't we? I keep getting sidetracked by other things. But we do have a drop point, big standard Strider jimping across the top. And overall, just a beautiful blade. Now, as you notice, this one is marked Mick Strider. A standard Strider will be marked Strider. So there's one difference there. And like I said, I don't know if this is considered a Strider Custom, a Strider Performance Series, Limited Edition. I know it's a limited edition. That's how they were listed whenever PVK Vegas had them. They were limited edition and numbered, and I should probably call them and figure out which one this is. But anyhow, that is your blade and your mechanical bits. It is a titanium on stainless. That's the way Strider does their stuff, but as you can see, no lock stick. Works just fine. Sometimes you will get some of these Striders. My SMF and the other SNG I had, both had a fair amount of lock stick, but it generally works out fairly quickly and ends up a almost freakishly smooth knife. And that's what we've got here already. And this one has no use on it, essentially. Now, ergonomically, you know, I marked two things in the stop, pause, and read card that we haven't got to, and we are going to do that right now before I forget, and I'll be back with you here in just a moment. All right, ergonomically, what do we have? Well, ergonomically, I've got two numbers. I've got one number for getting hold of it here, which is kind of a goofy thing to do with a Strider knife, but I suppose you could. And that gives you a grip length of 3.6 inches or 92 millimeters. However, they've all got this approximately 50-50 choil on them that gives you a grip length of almost 5 inches or 119 millimeters. Freaking huge for a 3.5-inch knife. Now, that does mean that our blade length does get cut down to about 3 inches. Our edge length does. Blade length is about a little over 3.5. But with the sharpening choil and the forward finger choil here, we lose quite a bit of blade to ergonomics. However, those ergonomics play out extremely well for getting the knife in pretty much any situation you need to. And that is the beauty of this big fat rear end, really narrow at the hip, and then your blade up there. But that is kind of the beauty of this setup. You'll see there's a lot of Spyderco knives that use the same thing. And one reason for the big rear end, big old fat booty on these, is your reverse grip. Because Strider wants you to have a good EDC knife, but it also wants it to be a good fighting knife if you need it to be a fighting knife, and that's why it's set up like this, so that you've got the jimping down through there and something good to get a hold of in that reverse grip. And still new, guys, man. Oh. So let's put it in the pocket real quick. And this is the first time I have ever put this one in a pocket. So you got to see the virgin put in the pocket. And here's something people are going to complain about with Strider knives, and rightly so. There's a lot of knives sticking up. It's wide. It takes up what seems like it should be a huge amount of pocket. However, I carry this thing's big brother, the SMF, quite often, and I don't find it to be a problem. But it is a big knife in the pocket, that's for sure. However, you've got the really nice, I know it's very simple, but that bent pocket clip that Strider does, that seems to work out really well, and you can get deep carry pocket clips for these knives if you so desire. So let's get a look at it. There you go. This thing is just an absolute beauty. That flame job back here came out really, really nice. The stone wash they do comes out really, really nice. And the partial polish, and this is one of the things I just really love, and it's really hard to get on camera. But doing a blade grind and then leaving it with a partial, then polishing while leaving some lines in it is just a beautiful thing to me. I like it whenever I see that, and that's what they've done here. And overall, guys, I'm not going to pick on the Strider very much. I do think that for an everyday carry knife, and the way that this knife fits together, you could cut off quite a bit of this extra rear end, slim down that big old booty. But if you look out there, there are some models, the Dwayne Dwyer models, that have had that done. And I don't know. It takes away from the iconic appearance of the knife. So even though it would make a better knife in the pocket, I don't know that I would want one of those knives. The one thing I do really love here are the blade stops, and I really wish the Strider, if they produce more and more knives and ramp production back up, that they would go to that style of blade stop, because that is just beautiful. I am not going to flick this thing open, but it is very possible. We'll get the SMF out here. It can be flicked, thumb flicked. It can be, middle finger flicked. Anything you could do with a spider hole, not a problem here. This one will do the same thing. I'm just not going to beat the knife up because, well, it's a knife that's probably not going to stay around forever, because it's just too many dollars worth for me to be carrying around, and too many dollars worth, well, it's one that will probably move on to a happy new Strider fan at some point. If you are a crazy Strider fan that thinks you need this thing, send me an email. Don't send me ridiculously low bids on it, because I'm not going to take any. If you're serious about the knife, though, send me an email and send me your offer, because as much as I really love the knife, I will be once again looking for a standard Strider, something not quite so special as this guy, because I want one that I can put in my pocket and carry every day, and this just isn't the right one for me. This is more one for some collector out there that wants to have something super cool in their collection at the time that Strider was not at full production and was doing Mick was doing very limited runs, and that's what this is. If you guys are interested, you know, be serious. Don't shoot me those lowball offers, and I'll consider it possibly. But for now, guys, this has been the Strider SNG, excuse me, Fatty. It is a super cool knife, and I really wish it was an everyday carry knife. But even though the price, you know, the money, not that big a deal, because I ended up trading for the knife. But the fact that there's somebody out there that wants this, that's a collector, that's the major reason that I just can't do those things with the knife, because there's somebody that's going to enjoy it a lot more than me, and I'll find myself a flat ground standard Strider SNG at some point that I can beat the crap out of. Anyhow, guys, this has been the Strider Mick Strider SNG Fatty. It is a really cool knife, and I hope that we continue to see these type of things come out of Mick Strider, because some of the stuff he's doing right now comes out in small batches, but man, it is super cool. Anyhow, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see me beat up on a Strider knife a little more, just look to the future for the SMF review, or maybe it's already done. If it's already done, go back and find it, because that one I'll flick around and do all those sorts of things with, because, well, it's the one I carry quite often. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click the little bell down there so you don't miss anything here on the Ozark YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.